Greetings, Mr. Conney.
What's going on?
We had a brief intermission. We finished part one of our second episode, and now we're going to dive into a part two.
Yeah. And it's kind of nice. Is like, well, we're gonna do 2 episodes a week now.
Mm-hmm.
Mondays and Fridays.
Thursday, Friday,
Monday and Thursdays.
Monday, Thursday.
Right.
We'll do whatever. But if y'all are interested in anything regarding the Russia-Ukraine situation, Connie just broke it down and dissected it better than a surgeon. So I would think he has his degree in politics, but that's just me looking in. So I have no clue, but Connie, you did an amazing job on that.
I appreciate it. I was real nervous.
Really?
Yeah, I was real nervous.
You seemed in your element, if I'm being completely fair.
I appreciate it. You know, I feel like my girlfriend said, like, that's when I start talking, is like that's where like I get excited and animated. Like it's true.
That's fire.
It's very true.
All right, so the second part of this episode is going to be centered around, loss, growth, grief, and healing in positive ways, because I recently lost one of my closest friends by the name of Armaya Austin. She was 23 years old. She died from RMC, which is a form of kidney cancer. It stems from people of African descent that have the sickle cell trait, and she's been battling it for a while. She was really healthy for a long time, and then recently it just all hit her, and it was tragic. It's kind of like my first major loss, so I don't really know how to really cope with it. I don't really know how I'm feeling. I just kind of feel like I've been taking care of other people, but I'm trying to kind of learn from you, because you've experienced this before with the passing of your father. He also was taken from cancer. So I guess this episode is mainly like a learning experience for me, and maybe a form of therapy and kind of expressing myself in a way that I never really do. So if you're comfortable with me, asking you like a couple questions,
let's dive into it, because there's a lot to talk about. In terms of like all the emotions that go into when you lose somebody very close to you, and I definitely wanna help you out and anybody else out who's going through it, because one preface, there's no right or wrong way to go about it. Like, you're gonna feel the emotions regardless whether you want to or not. So hopefully I can give you some insight and console you in a little bit, or in a way that put you at peace with what's going on.
Mm-hmm. All right, so first and foremost, I would love to send some prayers out to her immediate family, her immediate friends, and even like friends who don't even know her that well, who have heard about the news. I know that it hit me pretty hard, so I can just imagine how like her parents are feeling and her siblings and all that stuff. So immediate prayers to them, and just to Armaya herself, I just kind of want to say, that I love you, and I wish I could have expressed that more to you, even though I did. We talked on the phone every week because we weren't in the same area, but you were like a sister to me. We're relatively the same age, so I just thank you for your grace, and you always had a smile on your face no matter what you were going through in your process. And I guess that's one of the biggest takeaways that I had, is like I'm more grateful for my situation. Like, there's no reason why I can't smile every day if she can smile every day if she was doing the shit she was doing. So
that's how she'd want it, and I think that's important to know. It's like when you do lose somebody, the biggest thing is that you want to learn to deal with it and cope with it, but they want you to also realize that like your life is still your life, and they want you to accept that as well.
Yeah. You will be the first form of ink on my body. I'm going to get a tattoo to remember you by. I just love you a lot, and I kind of wish I could, just hug you and talk to you and tell you I love you one more time. But I know everything happens for a reason, and I know that if you were here, you would just tell me to like, stop crying about it and to be positive. So I'm gonna try to do that for you. So I have a question for you, Connie. So first off, how old were you when you experienced the situation with your father?
I first found, I guess as a family, we first found out about him being diagnosed, I was a senior in high school. I remember that conversation very vividly. Like, I remember, so it was Halloween when he was told that, my dad was told that something was wrong. Mm-hmm. And he had, like, jaundice and yellowing in the eyes, and so he went to the hospital, and then a few days later, they did more tests. And I think it was around that, it was like November 6th, I think. It's the day that my mom and dad both came home, and it was like me, my brother, my grandparents sitting at the table waiting to see what was, like, the deal. Because we knew something was wrong, we just didn't know what was wrong. Mm-hmm. And, like, being my dad, like, being the man of the family, being, like, trying to keep things normal as possible. We just sit down and have a conversation. And I loved that. Like, he was just very open, very, like, this is how it's going to go, this is how it's going to look, this is what we're going to do. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Mm-hmm. It was very open communication. So, yeah, I found out, like, that senior year in high school, I feel like it was just a weird time for me because, like, again, like, you're supposed to be excited about your senior year. Everyone else around me in my class, graduating class, was just living their life, ready to move on, going to college, had all these college banners, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to, at the time, I was going to George Mason, and I was like, okay, like, this is next, but what, like, does that really mean? You know, am I really ready for it? And I told my parents, so I told my mom and dad that I could stay back, but they're like, nah, you crazy. You gotta live this part of your life. And I was like, yeah, but, like, I was just not focused on that part of my life yet. And looking back, it's being a senior and it being young, it's a crazy time. Like, I was 17, 18. And I had all these different thoughts. I think that, like, looking back now, it's kind of insane. Like, even like my brother, for example, who is even younger than I am, it's like he had to go through that even younger, and I can't even imagine that, you know. But at least, like, as you get older, you reach a certain level of maturity and understanding, but even still, it's, like, crazy to think about I was that young.
So, you as you are right now, being, you know, 4 or 5 years into the healing process, if there was one piece of advice you would give your younger self to better cope with or better understand the circumstances of what happened, what do you think that piece of advice would be to your younger self?
Realize that everything will come in time. You know, like, I feel like I even knew that, like, at that point in time, like, you just don't know. But at the time, like, when I've told you in the past, like, literally everything was day by day. Mm-hmm. Like, I would not think about what else was going on in the future. It was just day by day. And that was just me coping with my emotions, understanding what was going on in my dad's world, my mom's world, my brother's world, and, like, just taking it one step at a time. Mm-hmm. It literally is breaking it down in one day at a time. And at the time, it's weird because, like, when you're preparing for college and you're preparing for your future, like, you want to think ahead. You want to prepare yourself, get ready, like, get your books, get your stuff. But I literally wasn't getting my books and stuff until the day I needed them. Yeah. Like, everything was literally day of. So I think that's, like, the biggest advice I would give to anybody in that in going through it. It's like, you literally break it down to as simple as possible that you can comprehend everything going on around you.
I guess that's kind of like a life lesson in general, is that everything comes with time. You know, I was watching a clip of a guy talking about how, you know, with time, everything shall pass. And not even bad, but good. Like, you feel on top of the world, like, that's going to pass eventually. And you feel at the bottom of the barrel, that's going to pass eventually too. So I guess the main thing that I'm trying to comprehend is that concept of time. But it's like, time is relative. Like, 1 minute having sex is different than 1 minute, you know, getting stabbed. You know, one feels shorter than the other. So it's like, however you view that time is up to you, and perspective is everything. So I guess I'm just trying to, I don't know, maybe I've been distracting myself. Maybe I've been filling in every second of my day, so I have no time to think about it, which I don't think is probably optimal.
It's the easiest thing that happens. Like, even myself, like, there's, like, for me, like, I would just go into video games. Like, video games was my escape. But for some, they just do too much where they feel like they can just keep themselves occupied. But eventually, the thing is, like, the emotions are going to hit you whether you want them to or not. Like, no matter what, and talking about loss of, like, an immediate family member, loss in any form, like being in a relationship and ending that, like it's gonna hit you. Emotions are gonna hit you regardless, and there's no real way to prepare for them other than knowing that like when you get to them, and you're there, to allow them to be, allow them to exist, allow them to feel, allow yourself to feel it, because I think what one of like my dad had like this team of doctors, and I had this one like therapist who was like his she was a social worker. Her name goes by Paula, and she for me will always be somebody that I admire, because like she gave me so many life lessons just in that time that prepared me. But she told me that this unfortunately will happen more in your life whether you wanted to or not. And if you can develop the skills now early on, you'll be better off later. So I literally took that whole my dad's experience as a learning experience in that regard. I realized like, okay, like this is so traumatic and so real, but unfortunately it's going to happen again in small forms and bigger forms, etc. So like I would just say like for you, it's like this is fresh, and you're gonna go through it as you will, but also take it as a learning experience, because you're gonna unfortunately go through these things again, and realize if you can figure out how you cope and what works best, and also realize what doesn't work. And even for me, like I feel like I haven't really mastered that until now. Like we're like so many years out with my dad's passing, and I'm still figuring that out.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a you never really master it. You just learn better ways to cope with it.
100%.
And since I'm very early in this, like anybody else who's early in a process of, losing someone very close to them, a lot of it first comes with, blaming yourself. Like, I could have been there more. I could have talked to her more. I could have, went out of my way to do this, this, and this. And then I'm currently in that blaming stage. So I'm relatively new. She just died like less than a week ago. So that's not the healthiest form, even though I'm a tough love kind of guy. Like that's not the best form, but going to the gym, reading, mindfulness, meditation, all of that stuff helps. Talking to people who are in similar situations that you are in helps. And just accepting that first off, their suffering is over with, and that they're in a better position, and that they are where they're supposed to be. And everything unfortunately happens for a reason, even though you may not understand it in the moment. But I thoroughly think like I'm living my life through her. I think it was a wake-up call that I needed. As fucked up as that wake-up call was, it's definitely like opened my eyes in ways that I thought my eyes were already wide open, but now they're just like they remain open there.
When it comes to like losing somebody like that in your immediate circle, it's like the world perspective changes. Like you really feel invincible up until you lose somebody that important to you. And even for me, it's like I know, like for myself, I'm living for my dad in my similar ways. It's like there's things that they would want you to experience that they couldn't experience, and that's how I take it. There's gonna be those good days and bad days within, but at the same time, like for me, I got a tattoo when my dad passed, my right shoulder, saying true north, because that was something like he said, if you follow your true north, you always get to where you need to be and where you need to go. And I will follow that until I pass. Like that. There's like your gut instinction, like where you feel you should be going, whether you should be here, whether you shouldn't be here. But I know at the end of the day, like my decisions that I make are the right decisions, and that will forever like empower me to keep moving forward.
That's what I love. I love that, and I'm glad that you can, express that, because like a lot of people, and a lot of men especially, I'm definitely in this category. I do not know how to express my emotions. I will go to the gym for like 4 hours, lift heavy weights, tell myself that I'm good, and then as soon as I'm done and I go home and shower, I'm just like right back where I think, you know what I mean? So in this day and age, it's not cool, it's not trendy to say how you feel, but it's kind of cool to have a platform where we can make it comfortable for ourselves to maybe be that example that you can be, quote unquote, like alpha male or whatever you consider yourself to be, a man who stands on his 2 feet, who can lead, but he can also, you know, manage his emotions and be vulnerable at times when needed.
Yeah,
and still
no,
handle his business.
totally. And I think that like even like at this current age, we've come so far and progressive in terms of understanding and like feeling your emotions. And I definitely think that like we as a younger generation are accepting of that, but there's still, especially in the male perspective, the sharing your emotions, feeling your emotions is considered soft. And I even remember like I distinctly remember like going through like when I was trying to join the fraternity and like being looked at as a softer individual.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm already light skinned, so it's like it's already like I already have my emotions, one of my emotions on my sleeve. But like
that's funny.
It's like on top of that, going through what I went through, like it was even more of a burden. And I still feel that like in terms of like when you consider yourself somebody like the alpha male or like to me, I take it and I humbly understand my emotions because I realize that like for people who consider themselves an alpha male, like you're gonna hit that moment and not know what to do.
Yeah.
And it's gonna make or break you at points.
Yeah.
And for me, like I was like, I'm gonna learn it. I'm gonna take it on the chin, and I'm gonna learn what I need to learn from this experience, whether people consider me soft or not. And I think that was such a valuable lesson. Like I think that like it's okay even as a guy to have emotions because you are human. Like you're no different than anyone else. So, and you're gonna feel them. I think that like that stigma is slowly breaking down, and it's good. But I also think from the male perspective, like you have to also be accommodating to people who are trying to understand their emotions and who just are more emotional in general. You know, I was hit with it. Like I'm a Cancer. I'm a light skin. I got all the emotions. Like I'm like I just radiate emotion.
The ultimate Drake.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not gonna dox myself, but I got a whole Drake playlist, just straight songs when I'm feeling myself.
I think the viewers could look at you and assume that by the start.
Yeah. I can't lie. I'm not gonna lie
the
about
ultimate light skin, but he's a very, very, very well-rounded one, if I can say.
I appreciate that.
I think maybe the one specific, this event was probably a catalyst for me to start to get on that wave of expressing how you feel, even though it's like it doesn't feel natural or you're not used to it. I think I'm just so used to just handling everything on my own.
And I feel like a lot of males are like, it's just like, this is what we have to do. All right, what's next? Like, how do I problem solve?
Exactly.
Like, what's next? But the thing is, like, the human component is you're gonna feel it.
Yeah.
And no matter like how you can stuff it down and eventually get angry at yourself, and like that's part of the whole grief. Like you're gonna get angry at the situation. You're gonna be angry. Like, why didn't I do this then? Like for me, it was like, why didn't I text or call my dad more? And when he was here, because now I can't.
Exactly.
It's like that instinctual thing is so normal because everyone's gonna feel that in terms of their loss. It's like why wasn't I more present for them? But the thing is, it's like at the time, if they were like roles were reversed or like they were talking to you, it's like their life is how they like they're living their life as well. Like you wouldn't know until you experience this. So, but in terms of like anger and that, like it's very normal. Like you're in the same boat of a lot of people.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't think like today I could try to pretend like I'm good enough to express how I'm necessarily feeling, but it's just way too fresh and I still haven't even, gathered all of my emotions. It's just not normal right now, and obviously things can't change in a day, but I can genuinely say that this event is definitely going to make me want to be better in that way, because there's a lot of people, I have a lot of traits that I admire about myself, but there are definitely spaces where I lack, and this is one of them, is like being emotionally available when I need to be. And I think vulnerability will help me in that aspect and will help a lot of people in that aspect of just even if you're not used to it, doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do at that right time.
Yeah. And I think like to me, I looked at it as it was a challenge, like there's things you're just not naturally good at. And this is one of the things you're going to become better at, whether you want to or not. And I think that some things are going to feel natural. You're going to want to cry. You're going to want to punch walls, be angry. And that's normal. That is completely normal. And I think that also too, is that like what you're dealing with right now is today. And another part of being angry is that like, all right, I'm still feeling this tomorrow. I'm still feeling this a week from now. I'm still feeling this a month from now. I'm still feeling this 6 months from now. And it's like, there's no set time where you're going to feel that it is okay to be angry or sad or whatever your emotion is. Like, there's no set time.
Yeah.
You can't force it. You can't rush it. Like, your brain is trying to comprehend what's going on, like why I feel this way. And the best way to understand it is to be accepting of it. You know, it's like, okay, like, I'm angry now because I feel, because this happened. And you know, when you can put that in your brain, like, okay, like, now I know why I'm angry. And now I know. And then you learn these are very elementary things. You learn these when you're very young. Yeah. You know, it's like when you are in like preschool, little Timmy has like taken your train and you punch little Timmy, and then the preschool teacher's like, hey, like, why'd you punch him? And then she explains to you that like, you're angry right now. Yeah. Like, this is you trying to express your anger. This is not the right way to express your anger, but you're doing it.
Yeah. So as of now, it's just taking it day by day, getting better, opening up more, feeling what I need to feel, and what would
you say? Like, you say you're angry right now. Is that where you at right now?
Anger?
Yeah. Like, is that
yeah. I'm at the point where I'm like, I would rather have it be me than her. She did not deserve this at all. She was there could not have been a situation where if anybody came down and said like, you can switch and you can take the suffering, you can take everything, like I would instantly take it. So I'm just angry that it's like, why does it have to be that kind of person, like that individual that can brighten up everybody's lives and smile when they're in pain and do all that stuff. Like, why does it have to be her?
Yeah. And like, again, very normal. And for me, like, that was my question of why was, it was like, why did my dad go through so much stress, pain, and anguish to get to where he was, to pass away so early? Like, he was 48 years old, you know?
And not enjoy the fruits of his labor.
Yeah, like, he worked so hard. And, like, that's, to me, the most, like, that was very hard to wrap my mind around.
Yeah. But I guess it just shows you that you can prepare for anything in this lifetime, brother, but life always wins and stuff will always hit you. So if anything, and this is just making me sharper, and this has given me another experience under my belt that I can be the well-rounded person that can hold down my family when stuff happens and take care of them. But the main thing is just like, Isaiah, you have to take care of yourself first. Yeah. And that is where I need to start. And it's like, just take care of yourself.
Right. And to me, like, what one of the things that, again, Paula said was like, you have to put it in perspective. Like, when you're on a plane, and they always say, like, when the plane goes down, put on your mask yourself first. You have to put the mask on yourself first, because you can help other people, but like, you're putting yourself at risk, and you're not really gonna properly help them out the way you could if your mask was already on. So like, put the mask on first, take care of yourself, and then when you're feeling stable enough to help other people, you can go into their lives and cater to other people and be a rock for other people.
Yeah, it's like crazy, because most humans are wired in the aspect of, they look at other people's problems and they want to take care of them, they want to help them, they want to do everything for them. But as soon as they look in the mirror, it's like, man up, like, do this, like, be better. But it's like, if you can take the second to remove yourself from your situation and treat yourself like you would treat one of your best friends, or treat yourself as if you would treat someone that you genuinely care about, right, then that is where the growth comes from. And that's what I'm finally doing, is removing myself from my situation, saying, hey, what would you do if your friend was in this situation, if your little sister was in this situation? And then you go from there. But we neglect ourselves and we put other people's problems on a pedestal that it just makes no sense. At the end of the day, it's like, why don't you hold value in your own feelings and your own emotions and your own strife and stress? Like, you can take a day and be like, life is hard and 100%. I am going through things. And then you take it day by day, you put it behind you, and then you tackle the next day. Then you can help other people. And then you can be a more of a stable person to help that person.
Exactly.
A damaged person can't help another damaged person.
Exactly. And so, I feel like even the other side of the coin to that is the people who are not socially aware of how selfish they are and how they project it onto somebody else. Like when you go through something like this, your perspective opens up so much. Like you start to think about how they react to you when you say certain things, and it opens up your mind in a lot of ways. And I feel like for me, like I learned that really early, and I feel like that's why I'm more humble and complacent about a lot of things. And I do stand to be a little bit more assertive in certain areas, but I also think that like I'm patient when it comes to people, like I'm extremely patient. And because I know that like what I'm dealing with has nothing to do with what they're dealing with, and they don't necessarily have to subject myself to my emotions all the time. And I think it's just also just being more compassionate towards people. You know, like you run into people who are just trying to get home at the end of the day and honking their horn because they want to get home because they're tired. But you have to understand the car right in front of you is in the same boat. Like they want to get home too. Like it's not just about you, you know. And you have to the perspective shifts in a lot of ways, and you have to be more welcoming of it and understanding of it and patient. Like patience is like one of the biggest things. Like that's part of time, like the part of the time healing, you know, it's all patience.
Yes. Patience. And then another big one is empathy. Just having empathy for everyone's situation. I feel like if there was one quality that I have that has gotten me the farthest in life would be empathy. Just having empathy for other people and people genuinely feeling that you're there for them. Right.
And I think it's just something maybe it's because of the internet age and because we're becoming so like individualized more so now because of the internet, but also like that I feel like is lacking in a lot of ways. Yeah. And it's funny because like at the end of the day, we're not so much different than one another. We all have the same emotions. We all have different pains.
Yes.
And like it's just how you deal with them is different. Yeah. How you want people to perceive yourself is different. Yes. Like, but we all want to be loved. We all want to be embraced, appreciated at times, and it's honestly very simple. Yes. But like we neglect that aspect so much that we just end up hurting more people than we really should.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a popularity contest. Yeah. When in reality, we're all running the same race. Yeah. We're all running the same race. Everybody just wants to be loved, valued, and appreciated. If you break it down into the most micro way you can, that's the only thing everybody wants. But stuff like status comes in and wanting to have the biggest business, and in most ways, like having the biggest business or the best house or the best thing means tearing down others in the process. When in reality, I can want to be successful, and I can still want the best for you to be successful as well. Like you can do both.
Yeah, no, you definitely can. Both. And I think that like when you start to do that, and when you start to apply it to the people, you find yourself being more grateful of like you are helping other people succeed, and you're feeling a little bit of the success yourself because you're like you helped them get to that point. You helped them get to somewhere that they want to be, and that makes you feel good. Yes. And I think the biggest part is to be grateful no matter like what's going on in somebody else's life.
Grateful. Gratitude will get you places you never thought you can go.
Exactly.
It's just perspective. And thank you for this conversation. I think this was a good first step for me. Yeah. Right after we dip out, I'm going straight to the gym, back to those good habits. But I'm actually going to try to dive into myself and take the spring break to really process what I need to process and hold down the people that really need me to hold them down. So thank you for having this conversation.
Of course, and that's the perfect mindset. Like that's exactly what you need to be doing. Take time for yourself. Take time to really digest it all, because it's a growing process, a learning process.
Appreciate you, brother.
Always. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yes, sir. We will catch you next week.
Yeah, sounds good.
Love it.